Welcome back to the King's Corner, the place for all things Bethesda. I am the KingFanMan. As you all know, E3 is almost here, and very soon we will all know what new games we will be seeing in the next year or so. It's a time of excitement and anticipation, to say the least, and Bethesda fans are some of the best and most passionate fans. And that's a good thing, because Bethesda puts out some of the best games not only on the market today, but also of all time. One series that certainly falls into that category is The Elder Scrolls. But sadly, both Pete Hines and Todd Howard of Bethesda have said multiple times not to expect the next game in this series for a long time. But why? The last Elder Scrolls game was The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, and it was released all the way back in 2011. That's 7 years and counting. And that's a long time to wait on a sequel, especially for such a successful and anticipated title. And quite frankly, one probably couldn't overstate just how anticipated the next Elder Scrolls truly is. So why is Bethesda waiting? You look at other studios and it seems many series get a new game every 1 to 2 years. Or 3 years at the most. And again, it's been 7 years, and we're still being told the next Elder Scrolls is a long way away. Both Pete Hines and Todd Howard have confirmed that there are at least 2 major titles coming from Bethesda Game Studios before we can even begin to talk about the next Elder Scrolls. There must be some reason why Bethesda would let such a popular and, quite frankly, lucrative game set idle. Well, actually, there are several real reasons, some good and some bad for us fans, why we are going to have to keep waiting and waiting before we can go back and explore a new region in Tamriel. Now, let me warn you before we begin with these reasons most fans will not like, and maybe even agree with, but I want you to try to do something for me. Put yourself in Bethesda's place and see if you probably wouldn't do the same thing. I'm going to start with the bad news, at least for us fans, but again, please try not to look at this as a fan. You know what I mean. We just want it now, no matter what. If you look at it that way, I'm going to get a lot of dislikes, so please don't do that. And remember, I'm just the messenger. Don't dislike the messenger. Okay, the number one bad news. Elder Scrolls Online. You know, ZeniMax's online MMO? Well, ESO has been very successful for Bethesda. Now, I can already hear what some of you are thinking. Some of you are thinking, KingFanMan, ESO is not made by Bethesda Game Studios and has nothing to do with the single-player Elder Scrolls games. Well, while there is some truth to that, let me explain what I mean. Even though these games are made by different developers, and many who play the single-player games don't and won't play the MMO, and vice versa, the truth is, ESO depends on the fans of Bethesda Game Studios games, like Skyrim, for their sales. And ESO is selling close to 5 million copies even before the Somerset expansion. Now, I know those sales numbers don't compare to what a real Elder Scrolls game would sell like, but that's not a small number of sales nor money for Bethesda we're talking about. And the truth is easy to see. If and when Bethesda Game Studios releases the next Elder Scrolls game, or even mentions it, the sales of Elder Scrolls Online will plummet, since many of those 5 million are really fans of the single-player games just buying ESO while they wait for the real game. I told you it was bad news. So, as long as Elder Scrolls Online continues to sell, at least until ZeniMax feels they have built a true, loyal fan base for their MMO, we probably won't get the next single-player game. We need to remember they are running a business, and Bethesda Game Studios is owned and controlled by ZeniMax, meaning ZeniMax is calling the shot. So it's not a stretch to think that Bethesda Game Studios has actually been ordered to wait on the next Elder Scrolls and to work on something else right now. Okay, so one more bad reason, then we will get to the good reasons. The second reason there is a delay is simply because Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is still selling like crazy, even 7 years after its first release. It would be a huge business mistake to release or even announce a new Elder Scrolls game, because when they do, guess what happens to the Skyrim sales? They will stop immediately. Have you noticed that Rockstar has not even mentioned a new Grand Theft Auto game? Why and why would they? GTA 5 continues to sell. I know, it's really a sad paradox that if Elder Scrolls was a little less popular, we might already have gotten a new one by now. But with the recent releases of Skyrim VR and Skyrim on the Switch, you can be assured the next Elder Scrolls is nowhere close to even being discussed by Bethesda. This again is why they have made sure to tell us over and over and over that it is way, way, way in the future. So in other words, y'all keep on buying Skyrim and Elder Scrolls Online. We'll let you know when to stop. Now please don't get me wrong, I'm not being critical of Bethesda or even ZeniMax for that matter. While some fans can't and won't understand, I'm just saying I'm adult enough to understand business. And if I can see that it would be a dumb mistake and it would cost the company millions of guaranteed money flow, decisions like that is how people lose their businesses. And I certainly don't want Bethesda to lose their business. I want them to stay around and keep giving us awesome games to enjoy. I'm mature enough to understand to be patient for the next Elder Scrolls game. Okay, with all that bad news, so what's the good news? Well, let me give you 2 good reasons, actually, that we aren't getting Elder Scrolls this year, or probably the next, or the next. And I mean it's good for us fans. Number 1, new technology. In an interview at E3, Todd Howard said this.
That's kind of like the elephant in the room always when we talk about anything. And, you know, I think it's good to, in these moments, to tell our fans, yes, of course we are.
Okay.
You know, it's something we love, but it is, you know, I have to be careful what I say. It's a very long way off. I could sit here and explain the game to you, and you would say, that sounds like you don't even have the technology. How long is that going to take? And so it's something that is going to take a lot of time, what we have in mind for that game.
Now, for those that have complained and complained about the need for a new engine, it seems that Bethesda has been listening. We cannot demand a new engine 1 minute and then complain that it's taking too long the next. A new engine takes time, especially if you want them to work out the many bugs that are sure to come with a new engine. We have a lot of evidence that that is exactly what Bethesda Game Studios is doing right now. In fact, Todd Howard said in an interview just this year that they are working on an all-new animation system for an upcoming game. He stated that the next game, that in all indications is coming out this year or next at the absolute latest, will use the old system, but that the next game will use an all-new animation system and probably an entirely new engine. Again, at the least, it will be a reworked engine, but I think it will be a new one. So we fans must be patient if we want the upcoming games to be more amazing and up to the standards of the current games on the market. And that's exactly what Bethesda is doing. So that is great news for us fans. When we do get the Elder Scrolls, it will be much more technologically advanced than Skyrim, meaning it should run faster, smoother, and be more beautiful, and it might just have features that will blow our mind. Obviously, that kind of work takes time, so we wait. But while we do wait, it's exciting to anticipate until then. Okay, finally, the last and best reason we won't get a new Elder Scrolls game this year or next. While we patiently wait, y'all are being patient, right? We don't have to wait playing only the old games. Bethesda Game Studios is working on, and I still believe will give us an all-new game this year. Not just a new game, but a whole new IP. Again, both Todd Howard and Pete Hines have stated that the developers at Bethesda Game Studios are wanting to work on something new, not just Fallout or Elder Scrolls, for the fans.
Actually have 2 other large projects we're also doing that are bigger than anything we've done. And people will probably hear about those even before Elder Scrolls VI. And that'll make sense many years from now.
Okay. So that's amazing. So you have a vision in your head of what you want Elder Scrolls 6 to be?
We think very long term. We're not a developer that's going to like rush something like this out.
Yeah.
Any of our games. So when you think about what is the future of that kind of game, you know, we have a pretty good of idea of what it would be, and it's just going to take technology and time that really we don't have necessarily.
You mentioned BGS. Last year, Todd was here and kind of broke a little bit of news that the multiple projects sort of in the works there. You know, another Elder Scrolls down the road, and you probably answer questions every day on Twitter about
down
this.
the road. Down the road.
A few games down the road.
To reiterate, they have at least 2 major titles that they are working on before we're going to get to Elder Scrolls 6. Jeff, we gave you that nugget, and somehow everybody, including your friend and mine, Michael Pachter, like somehow everybody missed that. I tried to manage expectations for folks. You know the kind of games they make. They take a while, but they have two major things that they're working on, in addition to a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, Skyrim Switch and all of these other things. Yeah. Yeah, they are hard at work. They have a lot going on. And, you know, like I said at the outset, looking forward to talking about that stuff when we get to a point where we can really show what they're working on and not just speak to it, but like, here it is, here's exactly kind of what it's going to be. And looking forward to those. And then we'll get to TES 6.
You only answer a question on Twitter about that a couple
like
times
every
a day.
day, yeah.
But obviously, yeah, you said, and it feels like you said, I think some people interpret that like, oh, they're working on all 3 at once, but it's sort of like you have to.
No,
slots,
we're pretty
right?
clear. Like TES 6 is not in dev while we work on. I mean, we're not talking about small things. We're not talking about like a Fallout Shelter kind of project, like big multi-platform releases like you expect from BG.
So yes, we have to wait on the next Elder Scrolls, but it will be so much easier for me to wait because I'll be playing and focused on an all-new amazing franchise from my favorite developer. I cannot wait to explore a whole new world made by Bethesda Game Studios. That almost excites me more than an Elder Scrolls or Fallout game. I said almost. So as E3 approaches, we aren't without hope. It will not be long till we will have something brand new to play. Then we can let Fallout 4 and Skyrim rest for a little bit. I, for one, am so excited. I cannot wait to see what Bethesda has been working on so hard. I know it will be incredible. And as for me, I'm going to trust that Bethesda is also still working hard, and sometime in the future, we will get that awesome new Elder Scrolls game as well. I really can't even begin to imagine how awesome that will be. Hey, thank you guys for stopping by the King's Corner today, and from my heart, thank you for being a part of this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting on? Are you Bethesda? Just kidding. Hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell too. You won't be sorry. I am the KingFanMan, and I'll see you next time.